Holly, thank you very much for inviting us onto this not too shabby yacht in Cannes with the beautiful castle behind us. But what I really want to talk about is, well, games really. You've just had the launch of Game Breaks in the UK. It was launched in other markets beforehand, but can you tell us about that and why the timing for the UK now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're seeing and what we've kind of continued to see is that gaming is growing and growing and growing. In fact, 11% of TV owners in the UK game on a daily basis.
That many?
That many. Yeah, loads. So it was definitely a real opportunity for us to tap into that audience. And I think as well, brands are really looking for a way to interact with their consumers on a really kind of authentic, innovative way. So Game Breaks is a really nice way to kind of tap into that. To give you a bit of a rundown of what a game break actually is.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest gamer in the world, so please do.
Yeah, so we would work with an advertiser and kind of work out a few different questions, right. And it would pop up and have a kind of timer on screen of them, the audience then being able to answer a right. question, and it's really interactive. It can be really, really fun. It can be completely kind of bonkers to drive up that engagement.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the game, then an ad break would play out.
So this is really exciting. This is in this sort of game space, and you of course are in many markets.
Mm-hmm.
So is the game space now the new hot spot, or is it just the same in other areas as well, like CTV, etc., and mobile?
I think gaming is rapidly growing at a rate that it definitely piques a lot of interest at the moment. So it's a very hot topic. But I think CTV is still a very, very hot topic.
Okay.
We've only been in Cannes for, a day, and it's been kind of frequently discussed throughout.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you later about what sort of conversations you're having here in Cannes. So that is a start. But gaming, there is a whole. I just said, I'm not very big game player myself.
Yeah.
So are you risking losing a lot of market, or do you not have to be a gaming expert to be able to answer these interactive questions?
You definitely don't have to be a hardcore gamer
right. Okay.
to be able to interact with it. It's really easy, and kind of the nurture of it is using kind of the gaming mentality to ease users kind of into that experience. So you definitely don't have to be gaming 10 times a day on your TV.
So how is the way, though, ads are served in these sort of new areas that you're moving into, how's that changing? Because how do you know, for example, that you're catching the right person with the right ad at the right moment when they're doing something like playing a game?
Yeah, I think our data feeds into that a lot. Okay. So we have something called ACR, which is automatic content recognition, which looks at what's being viewed on screen, basically. So through that, we can say, this TV owner really engages with comedy movies and things like that, to then feed in the relevant advertising to that person, because we also know that things like ad recall and brand perception are higher when a consumer feels like that ad is actually really relevant to them.
Yeah, it's interesting because Samsung increasingly, Samsung ads, you sit at this crossroads, right, between hardware, software, and advertising. It's a fairly unique position, but how does that shape then your competitive advantage?
I think it's a really unique position. That definitely it feeds into everything that we do, really. Our data, because we are the #1 global TV manufacturer, that feeds into our data and scale that we're able to offer advertisers. And we've recently launched our mobile app data segments as well, which is kind of a first in CTV. So it's the first time that an advertiser will be able to partner first-party mobile data with the CTV campaign to really drive that kind of CTV awareness. So definitely there are a lot of players in the market, but that's where Samsung stands strong, is our first-party data.
So we're here in Cannes this week. You've already been having various conversations about other things. What key things are in your mind that you're trying to get across to people, and also what are you trying to take away from Cannes this week?
I think one of the key things I'm trying to get across to people is, realistically at this stage, every brand should be leaning into CTV. It doesn't matter whether they're kind of a large scale conglomerate business or a to medium size brand. At this stage, CTV is so accessible to audiences and to brands in general that it's definitely kind of becoming the new normal to include CTV across media plans. So that's a really important conversation.
Right.
And then, sorry, what was the second half of the...
What sort of things are you hoping to take away from? Because there are other things on the agenda, artificial intelligence, where everyone's talking about that, sustainability, diversity, all that. Other kind of human contact stuff. Are there any particular elements of those that you're sort of plugging into while you're here?
I think it's been really interesting to hear people talk about kind of emotional intelligence and how that's kind of building into advertising and what that means. We recently did an updated Change the Way You See TV research piece, which kind of looked at resonating to advertising across different age ranges and different kind of mindsets, and the mindset and how that impacts how you perceive an ad. And that was really interesting to kind of just learning more about that kind of importance of the right moment at the right time and the emotional resonance of kind of advertising is really interesting.